Okay. Over 5,000 teachers have reportedly signed a petition pledging to push CRT, critical race theory, regardless of the laws that their jurisdictions may pass. Now wait a minute. I didn't think that this was actually being taught in the schools. Now, you've heard this over and over. In fact, when this push from parents going to school board meetings and this outcry over critical race theory, you saw the media in lockstep with the left saying, "Oh, this isn't happening. It's not happening. We're not teaching this in our schools." Here is, I want to play a clip for you. This is CBSN news anchor Tanya Rivero. She's talking about how critical race theory is taught only at the graduate level. Play clip number 7.
When we hear a lot about critical race studies right now, critical race theory, it's not something that is taught in schools.
That clears up a lot of confusion that people have over, is critical race theory being taught to my 5th grader? The answer is no. Critical race theory is an advanced topic that, pretty much takes place at the graduate level.
Again, that was Tanya Rivero. Also on MSNBC, Alicia Menendez, she was guest hosting. She had this to say about it as well.
Critical race theory actually refers to the study of structural racism, and it's not taught until college or graduate school. Law school. It's a law school class, everybody. So let's start by making it completely crystal clear at the top of this interview that critical race theory is not taught before law school. It is a law school class, essentially, or graduate level.
So then why are teachers in K through 12 signing a petition that over 5,000, it's a Zen Education Project petition, that says they will continue to teach this divisive and really hateful curriculum, regardless of the law? And then last week, the nation's largest teachers union, about 2 million members, it's the education mafia, they approved a plan to promote critical race theory in 14,000 school districts across America. And they pledged to oppose attempts to ban it from K through 12 social study classes. So how can you have it both ways? Joining me now to talk about this, Meg Kilgannon, Senior Fellow for Education at the Family Research Council. Meg, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Thanks for having me, Tony.
So Meg, how can this not be taught, but yet they're signing petitions pledging to teach it regardless of what the law may say?
Right. It has sort of an Empire Strikes Back feel to it, doesn't it? On the one hand, they say it's not happening. And then when they're caught red-handed, they say, oh, yes, and we're going to teach it even more. We're going to make sure we teach it to all the children. So it's a classic liberal move. It's happening in education, but it's a classic technique that they use on lots of different issues.
So to be clear, at the top of this interview, critical race theory is happening in K through 12 schools across America. In fact, the National Education Association pledging to have it taught and promoted in 14,000 school districts across America.
Yes, it absolutely is being taught in K-12 education. As early as 2018 in Fairfax County, where I live, 4th graders were doing language arts studies, and they were supposed to interpret the readings that they did based on the 4 Ps, and 2 of those Ps were privilege and power. So this is not anything new in school, and it doesn't limit itself to history, right? It is something that's taught throughout the curriculum, and it's a way of thinking. It's a philosophy that informs all of education, and it most certainly is in law school. It absolutely is in graduate school programs. It's in the graduate school programs that inform teachers, teach them how to be teachers. So of course, they bring that philosophy with them into whatever classroom they enter, whether that is a kindergarten classroom, a middle school classroom, a high school classroom. They take this philosophy with them.
Meg, I'm going to play a clip from last Wednesday. Becky Pringle, who is the president of the National Education Association, as I mentioned, largest teachers union, largest union actually, 2 million members. She delivered her first official address as president of the nation's largest union. And she talks about her vision to reclaim public education and then transform it. Let's watch this.
The vision I laid out to guide that work is that we, the NEA, will lead a movement that unites not just our members, but this entire nation to reclaim public education as a common good and then transform it into something it was never designed to be. A racially and socially just and equitable system that prepares every student, everyone, to succeed in a diverse and interdependent world, to be those leaders of a just society.
All right, Meg, first question is, who are they going to reclaim it from?
That is a very good question, because I think they have a pretty tight grip on it as it is. I'm really surprised that she feels like it has to be reclaimed, and I'm also frankly offended that she thinks our education system was never designed to be, something for all students. Of course it is. Public schools must teach every student that comes through the door who is assigned to that school in a certain zip code. They have to teach those kids, no matter what their disability or ability is, no matter their race, creed, religion, or anything else. And to imply otherwise, I think is just not fair.
It kind of reminds me of Barack Obama, fundamentally transform. They want to transform education into something it was never intended to be. Are we looking at a massive showdown between the education mafia and parents across America?
I think we are headed in that direction. It's happening already. The fact that we're talking about this in July when school is out is an indication that this is a topic that is not going to go away. Parents really saw that teachers unions like the National Education Association and the American Federation for Teachers were interested in serving their membership, which is teachers. And they were not necessarily interested in returning students to the classroom in the fall as the pandemic waned. They were not interested in being declared essential workers and doing their part. I mean, I know kids who were working at Wegmans in the height of the pandemic while teachers were not going to school. So, they have shown their true colors now, and they are in a situation where they do need to have a good offense because they have really lost a lot of credibility. And I think they believe they're going to get that credibility back by, fomenting the issue of division along race. And that is going to be a big mistake because parents are really tired of this. America is not a fundamentally racist nation. Americans are not fundamentally racist people. That's why we believe in public education. And this is, just simply not a dog that's going to hunt this time. So I'm really excited about the energy that I'm seeing from parents who are engaged, some for the first time, and some activists, like I've been an activist for a while now, and I have never seen this kind of energy before from parents. We've tried to warn them about different issues over the years, and it has been something that they just could not believe. They just simply would not accept the fact that the school could be so opposed to their values and so blatantly hostile to their authority as parents. And for better or worse, that's been demonstrated very clearly this year as everything around the pandemic unfolded. whether it was returning to school in person, whether it's this issue around critical race theory, and whether it is or is not taught in school. All of this is putting in clear relief the issue that parents face when it comes to the school systems and the very real lack of partnering with parents, shall we say, that occurs when we put the interests of teachers' unions and politics ahead of the interests of children and families.
Meg Kilgannon, you used the word blatant, and I want to go back to the petition that I mentioned at the beginning of this segment. The Zen Education Project. This is really named after Howard Zinn, who's a socialist, in his book, A People's History of the United States. Talk a little bit about this petition that over 5,000 teachers have signed, because to me, this is blatant in the language. They're not even hiding it at all.
They say that we pledge to teach the truth. We teach history so that one of the people said that we teach history so that we don't make the mistakes in the past, not to support the narrative that this is a nation that's made no mistakes. I don't think anybody is claiming that this is an issue that's made, the nation that's made no mistakes. What we would like to do is focus on the fact that we are continuing to strive toward a more perfect union. And yes, there certainly have been situations that were terrible and unjust, and those things are rectified over time. You know, this isn't something that is a case where we have to continually focus on the flaws and pretend like there's been no progress made. Mary Graber wrote a book about the Howard Zinn book, the history book, and about Howard Zinn himself. It's a really wonderful book about the Zinn Education Project and this obsession that he had with revisionist history. And there are several pieces of postmodernism that inform our educational moment. This revisionist history, the critical race theory, and then queer theory. These three things go hand in hand with this movement because they sow discontent, they sow division, they interrupt people's relationships with each other and the ability to form relationships with others. They attack religion, they attack the family, and these things are all very evident to the public right now, which is actually a very great blessing.
And those are central to Marxist ideology and or Marxist government. Just a couple more quotes from the petition. We, the undersigned educators, refuse to lie to young people about U.S. history and current events, regardless of the law. They're basically saying we're going to violate the law regardless. We, the undersigned educators, will not be bullied. It goes on to read, we will continue our commitment to, and this I had to laugh at, we will continue our commitment to develop critical thinking. If anything, what they're doing is they're force-feeding children liberal ideology and propaganda. They're not teaching our children to critically think.
No, they're teaching them what to think instead of how to think. One of my favorite quotes was, I will not whitewash our history. I will not allow the U.S. government to control our future generations' thoughts and inhibit their ability to critically analyze our history. The U.S. is an incredible nation with a past built upon stolen land and the blood of enslaved peoples, a legacy that lives with us today. This idea of living on stolen land, this draws a very clear line between cultural Marxism and economic Marxism. Because when you undermine people's thinking about whether or not someone has a right to own property, this is what leads to holding property in the collective and a collectivist mentality, which is a hallmark of Marxism, right? Of economic Marxism, of communism, of the kind of government and system that is in Cuba or in Venezuela or was in the Soviet Union. That is what the Howard Zinn Project is out to promote.
And that has led to mass executions and the murder of a lot of innocent people. in
The deadliest
the
form
20th
of
century.
government on the planet. Absolutely. Absolutely.
We're just about out of time. Meg, very quickly, where can folks find more information about what they can do? We don't want to just give them the problem. We want to give them the solution.
Well, you can go to frc.org and check out our education page. You can go to FRC Action. You can email us at schools@frcaction.org or on our tip line at frc.org. If you have examples of curriculum that you're concerned about, I would encourage school systems who are considering teacher contracts for renewal in the fall, you might want to take a glance at the signers of this document, see if your teacher has signed this petition. Because I think that should be a question that they should be asked. Are you going to obey the orders given to you by your superintendent and by your school board? Or are you going to do exactly what you want?
We got to leave it there.